Hey everyone, it's Mafalda and welcome to my July TBR. I feel like I start every TBR video stating how fast the year is going, but oh my god, we're already in July. We're already more than halfway through with the year. But I am super excited for July and my TBR for the month. Not only because it's the first full month that I have on summer break, which is super exciting. I can finally read whenever I want and I can finally immerse myself in my hobbies and not feel guilty about it. So that's a blessing. That's really good. But also because my TBR is super varied in terms of genre, and I kind of did that on purpose because in June I basically only read one genre and one age group. I only read YA contemporaries, which honestly, I'm not mad about it because I love YA contemporaries, but now I really need to branch out in June, so I picked a mixed bag of genres to read this month, and I'm super excited about all of these books. And also I'm not participating in any readathons. I participated in the Whatever You Want-a-thon in June, and it was really fun, but at the same time I also need a break from readathons because I don't know why this year I just don't feel like participating in readathons, and I don't know why that is. I think it's because in 2020 I participated in way too many readathons and now I just want to be in charge of my readings. So yeah, I'm not participating in any readathons. I just picked the books that I wanted to read in July, and I have 8 books I think on my TBR, and also I have some other books that I will not show you because they're for secret videos. I have like 3 secret videos in the making right now, and hopefully I can get at least one of them out in July. So I'm also going to read books for those videos. But to show you today, I have 8 books on my TBR, and let's get started. So the first one is Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, and I'm continuing my reread of the Learner Chronicles. I read Cinder in June and I'm reading Scarlet in July, and I'm super excited to continue with the series. Cinder was so much fun. I honestly remembered a lot more than I thought I would, and I think this is the book that I remember the least out of the 4 books. I don't know why. I only know like the 2 main characters and that's it. I know nothing that happens. I don't even know who Scarlet is, to be honest. And if you don't know, the Learner Chronicles are a 4-book series, and it's a sci-fi fantasy dystopian series, and each book follows a different character and they're all inspired by fairy tales, so they're retellings of fairy tales in a YA fantasy dystopian world. And the first one is about a cyborg named Cinder, and it is inspired by Cinderella, and this one is inspired by Red Riding Hood, but that's all I know. I know nothing about it, to be honest, and I'm just super excited to see if I remember anything, to be honest, because I feel like I don't. But yeah, super excited to continue with this reread, and that is my first read for July. Then I have my book club picks for July. So first, for the 20-something book club, we are reading Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. I read my first Mary H.K. Choi in May, I think. I read Yolk, which is her newest book, and this one I think is her first book, not really sure, but I'm super excited to get into this one. I honestly don't even know what it talks about, but let me just read it quickly. So this book follows Pablo and Liana, and Pablo is a student and he's not really sure where he's going with his life. He's kind of lost. And Liana is a pop singer, I think, and she's really famous. She's been famous all her life since she was a child, and I think it's about them meeting at a bodega at 5 a.m. and it's just like following them and seeing if they're going to end up together or not. And I'm super excited to read this one and to discuss it with Casey and all of you, so if you want to join us in reading this one in July, please do. I have all of the social media for the 20-something book club in the description box below. And then for Nonfiction Baddies book club, which we also host, we are reading for June and July, but I'm reading in July obviously. We're reading Untamed by Glennon, Doyle, and this is a memoir about Glennon Doyle's life. And first of all, I just want to say that I love this cover so much. I just love the colors, and oh my god, it's so beautiful. And I think this book is just about Glennon Doyle's life, realizing she's a queer woman after being in a relationship with a man for a number of years. And yeah, I'm super excited to read this one. I've heard amazing things about it, so really excited to read this one and discuss it with you all. Now, the next book that I'm going to be reading in July is Darius the Great Deserves Better by Adeep Kuram. I still don't have this book. It was supposed to arrive today, but it didn't, so I guess I'll have to wait. grades a little bit more. But this is kind of our unofficial pick for the 20-something book club for July as well, because we read Darius the Great is Not Okay in May and we really loved it, so we decided to kind of like buddy read it and kind of have this as an unofficial pick for the 20-something book club. And so we're reading the second book in this duology this month, and I'm super excited to continue with this duology and learn more about Darius because I loved him so much as a character when we read the book in May. So yeah, I'm reading that one as well in July. Now the next book that I'm going to be reading in July is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I've had this one for way too long on my shelf, so I finally need to pick it up finally, because honestly my prediction for this book is that it's going to be a 5-star, so I'm super excited to get to this one finally in July. And I think this book just follows 12 different characters in the UK and kind of finding themselves, and just seems like right up my alley, so I'm super excited to finally get to it. Now the next book that I'm going to be picking up in July is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is also one that I've had for way too long on my shelves and I finally need to read it. And this is about Chanel Miller's life because she was the victim of the Brock Turner sexual assault case, and I've heard so many amazing things about this memoir and how beautiful and impactful it is, so finally ready to read it in July. Now the next book that I'm going to be picking up in July is my most anticipated book of this year that I still haven't picked it up, and it's Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. I'm finally reading it, and this is a prequel to The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and it follows Star's father as a 17-year-old, I think, and he's involved in gangs, but at the same time he's going to be a father, and it's kind of like him managing that and becoming the man that he is in The Hate You Give. And I'm super excited to read this one. I feel like it's going to be a 5-star because I always give Angie Thomas's books 5-star, or at least 4, and yeah, super excited to read this one finally. Now the next one that I'm going to be picking up in July is A Gathering of Shadows by V. Schwab, and this is the second book after A Darker Shade of Magic. I'm not really sure what the series is called, but it's the second book in that series, and I read the first one I think last year or maybe even 2 years ago, I don't even know, but I just need to continue with the series because I really like the first one. And the series follows Kel, and he's one of the last magicians to be able to travel between parallel Londons. So there's Red London and White London and Grey London, I think. And this one obviously follows the events of the first book, and I'm super excited to continue with the series finally because I feel like it's been 2 years since I read the first one, so I really need to get to this one. Now the last book that I'm going to be reading this month is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and this is technically a reread because I read this one 9 years ago or something, but since it's been so long, I basically am counting this as my first read of the book, especially because when I first read it I didn't really like it, so I guess I'm counting this as my first read of the book. And I actually have 2 copies of the book. This one is illustrated by Camille Rose Garcia, and this is like, I think, the original illustrations. I'm not really sure, but I think they are, yeah, the original illustrations. So I'm probably going to be following both of these books as I read, and I'm finally ready to love this book because not only do I love the Disney movie, it's probably one of my favorites, but also when I first read it I was like 12 or something, and I feel like I didn't really understand the English in this book because it's obviously not the most modern English. So I think I'm really going to love it this time, and yeah, that is my last book that I'm going to be reading in July. So these are all of the books that I'm planning on reading in July. I'm going to be reading Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi, Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I'm also going to be reading Darius Deserves Better by Adeep Kuram, which is coming in the mail. I'm going to be reading Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo, Know My Name by Chanel Miller, Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, A Gathering of Shadows by V. Schwab, and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. And I have a bunch of different genres here. I'm super excited to get to all of these books, and hopefully I'll get to even more, to be honest, because I have other books that are not technically on my TBR but are on my TBR, if you know what I mean. I'm hopefully going to read more than this, but these are the ones that I'm going to be prioritizing during the month. Please tell me down below if you've read any of these books and if you enjoyed them, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye!